Hello friends, so today we are solving this problem Pascal's triangle. So given an integer nums row and return the first nums row of Pascal triangles. So in Pascal triangles what happens is like each number is the sum of the two numbers directly above it as shown. We can see here, see this is very first one, then second one is 1 1 and after that we are seeing, see here, that on the middle element which is 2, so above it there are two elements, so 1 plus 1 we have made it 2. Similarly on the next side we are making every time whoever is top of that. Okay, so two element sum is going to the below it, but you can observe one thing here, that every time, see, the very first one has only one element, then second one is 2, then 3, then 4, so they are incremental by 1 only. Okay, so size is incremental by every time 1. So what we have to do is we have to return the list of these Pascal arrays. Okay, for example, if n equal to 5, then we have to return these list, right? So 1 and 1 1 and 1 2 1 1 3 3 1, like this. This is what we have to do. So let's understand how we can do that. So for example, let's say we are taking n equal to 3. So you can see here for n equal to 1, it is only the 1. It would be looks like this, right? Now when n equal to 2, it is 1 1. So it would be looks like this, 1 and 1, right? Now n equal to 3, this would be like from here. So you can observe one thing here, that for any list, even in this diagram you can see, for any list the first element and last element is always 1. Okay, so we have to get this intuition, that so for n equal to 3 also we will write the first element equal to 1 and this element, last element also equal to 1, and because previous has size equal to 2, so next would be having 2 plus 1. So we have to fill this middle element. This middle element would be basically the sum of these two guys, right? So this would be 1 to 1, right? So this all list we have to put it into an answer variable and then we have to return it. So it would be like we have to, what we have to do is we have to return these lists. Okay, so this is one simple case for the n equal to 3, but we have to have for all the great values of n as well, right? So it would be looks like this, 1 2 1. So we're gonna just return this value. Okay, so this list of list we have to return. It would be look like this, list of list we have to return. Now the thing is how to do that. Okay, so we will try to understand how to do that. So one thing you can observe here, that for n equal to 1 we can directly say that this would be the list, and n equal to 2 also, these two things are, we can directly say that if n equal to 1 return this, n equal to 2 is then return this, both of these, right? So anyway we have to make a generic method. Okay, so how do we do that is we will write one method, we can say one utility method. So in that utility method we would pass n, let's say we are calling a list equal to previous. Okay, so this previous list, if we pass to this method, this will give us the next list. Okay, so we will write such method. For example, if we are passing this 1 1, then this should return this guy, the next list. Okay, so we will write a method to do that, and we will using that method to generate these many n number of list. Okay, so for example, let's say our method is util. Okay, suppose I'm calling my method is util, which will take the list as input. So what we will do is, first of all, let's say my method is I'm giving a name equal to util, and this method will take the parameter, a list parameter. Okay, now we have to generate the next one. So how do we do that? That is the thing. So first of all, what we will do is we know that the size of the next list would be always of n plus 1, right? That is for sure. Okay, so what we will do is we will create a list. Okay, let's say we are calling it an row list. That would be our answer. So what would be the size of row? If let's say the parameter size is n, then size of row would be n plus 1. That is our first criteria. Okay, the size of row would be n plus 1. Now one more thing is, in this list we can directly say that, let's say the row 0. Okay, so for the sake of simplicity I'm just denoting it like this. So row 0 would be directly what we can say, it would be the index sitting at 0, it would be having the value equal to 1. Similarly, the last value also should be 1 only. So I am saying this row n, right? I am not writing n minus 1 because this is n plus 1 size. So last value would be sitting at index n. So row n would be what? This also would be 1. So this is our first thing to clarify, that very first and the last value would be always 1. Now we have, let's say we are traversing through I equal to index I equal to 1 till n minus 1, because for 0 and n we have already filled, right? So I equal to 1 to n minus 1, we have to fill the values, right? We have to fill the values. Now you can observe one thing here, that every time for any index between these two, we can write it like this. Okay, so at any index, let's say row of I. Okay, so what would be the row of I? So row of I would be basically the sum of, in the list, the one which is parameter, right? So let's say we are calling this list as the param list. Okay, so this, whatever is the parameter we have passed, so whatever is the value sitting at I plus whatever is the value sitting at I minus 1, that would be our answer for ith in the answer list. Okay, so I minus 1. This formula you can observe. So this formula is not coming to anywhere, we have just observed, right? So for example, let's say we are building this. So this thing, the very first and the very last, we have already filled here, right, at this step. So this is done. Now we are, let's say we are starting for I equal to 1. Okay, so row of I equal to whatever is the parameter of I, this is the previous list, right? This would be the, so at I equal to 1, what is there? At I equal to 1 we have 1, right? So we will put it 1. And what is there at I minus 1? So I, we started with 1, so I minus 1 is 0. So at 0 also we have 1. So this would be 1 plus 1. So this 2 value would be go to the location I equal to 1, right? So how would it look? It would look like this. So we can see here I equal to 0, we have already filled here, right? So 1 would be coming here. And similarly this n, which is n equal to 2, right, in this case, because the previous one has the value 2, so this would be having 2 plus 1, so 3. So indexing at here also we have already filled 1. And for this I equal to 1, we started I equal to 1 till n minus 1. Here we are taking the value sitting at the I and I minus 1 in the previous one, the one which we are passing in the parameters, right? So this would be 1 plus 1, this would become to 2. So same thing we have to do for all these row. How many times? Whatever is the row num we have. Okay, whatever is the row num, that many times we have to return this. Okay, so I will show you my code, right? So you guys can see here is my code. So first of all, I have written this get next list utility method, which we were discussing here. So this utility method, we are giving the name as get next list, and we are taking the parameter as a list itself. So see here what we are doing. First of all, we are creating one whatever would be the resultant list that we are creating here, and see here we are getting what is the size of this list. Okay, so we are taking n equal to al dot size, and our list should be of n plus 1. But because this is a list, we cannot create like a fixed size the way which we do. So what we are doing here is the very first value should be 1 always, as per given we discussed. The very first and very last value has to be 1 only. So that is what we are doing. So first of all, I added at 0 equal to 1. Now we are checking here that if hey, this n equal to 1, in that case we have to return only this value, this 1 1, right? So that is why I'm checking here. If n equal to 1, then we are directly adding the last value also 1 and we are returning it. Otherwise, what we are doing, we are starting from I equal to 1, because at 0th location we have already added our 1, right? At this location, see here at 0 we have already added 1. So that is why we are starting from I equal to 1 till I equal to I less than n. Okay, so see here what we are doing, we are adding the whatever was there in the param list, the one which we passed to the method, whatever at the I minus 1 and I. So you can see here we are starting from I equal to 1, right? So we are adding those values. So al dot get I minus 1 and al dot get I. That would be our value which we are storing at index I. Okay, now once stored all of them, then last one at the last, which is like here till here we have added the n values and n plus 1th value, which is starting with the 0 till n. So that is why we are adding the last value equal to also 1. As per the discussion we already say, we can see here the last one and first one value is always 1 for all the lists. So we are doing that. So we are at this location we are adding the last value as 1. Now we are returning this. Okay, so now this get next method we would be using in our main method. So see here, if row num is less than or equal to 0, we are returning null. Though in the question it is given that it would be always greater than or equal to 1 and downwards. Okay, now you can see here I am creating a list of lists. That should be our answer. So I created this list of list, and then we are creating one we have to traverse, right? So we are starting with this row temp equal to empty list, and our count is initially 0, one count variable. So see here in temp initial list I am adding temp dot add equal to 1 because very first is always 1. You can see here this is very first, so always 1. So I am increasing count by 1, that okay, at least one of them we have got, because anyway you can see here the numRows would be greater than or equal to 1. So that would be for sure we are adding here. Okay, now I have increased the count also it equal to 1. Now we are using this while loop. Okay, while this count is less than numRows, what I'm doing, I'm using this next list method and I'm passing this temp. So it will give me the new temp. Okay, meanwhile I'm adding whatever temp I got, I'm adding it to the resultant variable, which is list of list, and I'm increasing the count every time. So once we are done with these number of counts, we will be come out of it and we are returning this as the resultant. So let me execute this code. So I'm running this code. Okay, there is some that is missing. Okay, let me check that. What is that? Okay, this extra stuff is there, so let me remove it. So yeah, okay, so let me try to submit it. I'm submitting it. Let us see. Yeah, so you can see it is 91% faster in memory and 82.66% faster in time. So the time complexity, what would be the time complexity? Time complexity, obviously it would be n square, right? Because we are using the 2 for loop, right? And we have to go for all those. So thank you for watching this video, and if you guys have any concern, please make a comment over there. So see here, this in this while loop n times it would be run, and this get next list also would be running n times. So that is why it is becoming O of n square.